We are a week and a half into the 2022 legislative session, and we know the pace in the early days is not nearly as frantic as in those last days, that's for sure. Hours and minutes of any session, that's what it comes down to. We talked last week about how Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham made a plea to lawmakers to work together for their constituents and avoid division. And Algernon, what have you seen so far? Is anyone listening in these early days?
Well, they're listening, but there's a gravitational pull to some of the fault lines that make it hard for lawmakers to work together across party lines. But there are also examples, perhaps, that don't get a lot of attention because they're not as noisy, of lawmakers coming together and working on an idea that seems to transcend the boundaries and honestly the social pressures of some of these partisan rifts.
Senator Snyder, I know you know this. This week we learned the Republican Party of New Mexico has filed a lawsuit challenging that validity of the state's newly redrawn congressional map. You might also recall lawmakers voted on this in a special session just last month after hearing suggested maps from a new Citizens Redistricting Committee, as you recall. Also bringing the suit are sitting Senator Dave Gallegos and former Senate Pro Tem Tim Jennings. I know you know him as well. The lawsuit names governor, lieutenant governor specifically, as well as the Secretary of State, Democratic leadership in both the House and Senate. Where do you think this all leads?
Well, I think it leads to, obviously, a court hearing. I think whatever the court says, and by the way, it's filed in the 5th Judicial District, which is Southeast New Mexico. So I'm willing to, just speculating, I'm willing to guess that it will be, the bill will be approved in the request for redistricting in the 5th Judicial. It'll then go to the appeals court, and then it will go to the Supreme Court, regardless of which way this appeals court comes down on it. The thing that concerns me is, if I've got my date right, filing for congressional candidates and statewide candidates is March 15th. That's not very much time between now and then to get all these court hearings done. I don't think this is unusual. In 2001, and then 10 years later, or no, 20 years later, we had Republican governors that vetoed the bills. Lawsuits were filed mostly by the Democrats. We went to court and they were all worked out. And the last one was 2011, where the courts actually had someone draw the new districts. I particularly remember because they changed my Senate district and literally took a little curve out and took me out of my district. So I couldn't run against the incumbent. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it's not uncommon to have challenges. They're all over the country. You're seeing challenges. In some states, they're Republican control, the conservatives and the Democrats are filing the lawsuits. So I'm not distressed by this happening. I just think that for some of us, for the first time, I actually feel have strong questions about this, because I cannot see, as hard as I've tried, communities of interest between Hobbs and Roswell and Santa Fe and Albuquerque.
That's right.
And those districts, if you look at them, have been somewhat gerrymandered. I just have trouble making that work in my head. And that's one of the most important things that we should be doing redistricting on is the community of interest.
Senator Feldman, do follow up on that, but I have another question for you, but I'm curious your thoughts on what Senator Snyder just mentioned.
Well, I'm not surprised either that the Republicans have filed suit, as the Democrats have filed suit against maps they don't like in other states. The stakes are very high when it comes to congressional maps in particular. And that's what's at issue here. I think it's interesting that the Republican case is asking the court, the state court in Roswell, not a federal court, but the state court in Roswell, to adopt the map that was put forward by the Citizens Redistricting Commission. Well, my question is, which map do they want the court to adopt? Because they had 3 maps for the congressional district, and one of them was much more divided when it comes to communities of interest than the map that was adopted by the legislature and signed by the governor. So I think that they've kind of, that's a problem there. And I don't know exactly how it will be solved. But the Democrats have a good argument. The Democrats, the United Democrats this time, have an argument that each district is becoming more competitive in this new map. And that's in spite of the amalgam of rural and urban communities within each district. It's more competitive, and people say more representative of New Mexico as a whole.
We can have another debate on that. My personal opinion is it makes it also less appealing as a candidate, those kind of districts. Let me ask you about the governor's much ballyhooed proposal to cut the gross receipts tax here in New Mexico, Senator Feldman. Is this more show than substance, or, it's an election year? What's your? It's taken a pretty good whack as it's gone along here. What's going on here with this? Is it working?
I mean, if you want to address tax reform, there are better ways of doing it than this. This is a small decrease in gross receipts tax. I would rather see major offensives against the double taxation that some businesses find. And I also don't think that the Social Security tax cut that is being supported by the governor is that meaningful for middle class people. So I'm not that impressed, and they do seem like they're targeted more to the election than to achieving real results.
And Algid, on Wednesday, we also saw Republicans hammer House Democrats for tabling a bill that would have put a vote to clarify the now controversial bail form measure that voters passed in 2016. And Representative Bill Rehm dropped a press release message of basically, quote, so much for the governor and Democrat leaders, and, quote, talk of cracking down on crime. That's just one bill and one issue, but is it a sign of something?
Well, I think it's a sign that crime is still a very potent political issue. It is in part because it is something that the public is genuinely concerned about. Public safety is an important matter. And there are very conflicting ideas about who should bear the burden of deciding whether somebody who has been charged with a very serious crime can go free or not. And the problem, of course, is that this is very easily demagogued. There are very different views in terms of the legality and the civil freedoms principles. But there's a tension between that and the desire to make people feel as though they're being safe from dangerous people that they don't know a whole lot about. And that makes it very potent, and there's a high vulnerability of an important issue being worked out in the political framework rather than in a legal framework.
See the theme we got going here? There's a theme here, isn't there, and how these things are handled. Senator Snyder, just got a little bit of time here, but the governor recently signed up to be a substitute teacher, as you know. Got a lot of press out there in the national coverage at Salazar Elementary in Santa Fe, of course. A way of setting an example for others to help with teacher shortages. Did it work?
Well, that we have that to see whether they will. We suddenly will be inundated with volunteers for substitute, but I can't help but chuckle just a little bit to follow up on what Algernon said. Is this so many things get done for politics, in election year.
That's right.
Let me rephrase that. In election year, you see so many things. And I was thinking back, I don't remember her, she didn't sign up as a substitute teacher, but Governor Martinez frequently went to schools and visited and talked with children. I couldn't think of a single time when Governor Richardson did, but I do know that Alice King used to go and do these kinds of things. Not Governor King, but Alice would go and do these kinds of things. And I just think for me, the public safety bills. Great ideas, many of them. But if you go back and look, every bill to address every single issue in the governor's public safety package was introduced over the past 12 years by Representative Bill Ring, who is a former law enforcement official.
You got about 10 seconds if you...
Okay, if we really wanted to make public safety changes, we could have done it by working together. I'm afraid that it looks like they're just political opportunities.
I hear you. Thanks again to our line panel, as always. This week, be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics. A lot of interesting stuff here that we covered. Let us know how you feel about it on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages.